Don't you love a good throwback?
Welcome to KIRSTIcast, the show where we hope to illuminate, entertain, and engage our listeners, helping them create the life they want. I'm your host, Kirsti Manna.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to KIRSTIcast again this week. Thanks so much for being here. You may be listening to us on Spotify or iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. And I hope if you are, you're listening, liking, and downloading. And you also may be watching us on YouTube on my Songwriter Girl 1 channel. Wherever you're getting the podcast, I hope you're enjoying it. If you have comments about the podcast, don't forget to email us at info@songwritergirl.com. Well, I am here today with Bill Warner. I like to call him the mad scientist. And this will be the third week in a row that we have actually allowed Bill to have a microphone with it on.
I'm getting used to it.
He's getting used to not, learning how to not pop his peas and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I know all about that.
Well, it's kind of nostalgic, to have Bill talking on a microphone. It brings me back to the days when Bill and I played gigs together. And Bill used to say that he was the voice of Nashville. Do you remember that, Bill?
Well, I was kidding. I didn't mean that literally. It's because my voice was so weak.
Yeah, Bill didn't like singing, but he would only sing to give me a break.
Right.
So that I didn't have to sing every single song. So it's kind of making me feel nostalgic. Nostalgia. Why do we need nostalgia? I love nostalgia. And I think everybody does too. And we all need it, and we all know that it's a kind of a longing or an affection for the past. And one way that we really love nostalgia, of course, is when we listen to music. And that's one way that I love to be nostalgic is, I like the classic rock channel. Bill calls it kicking it old school.
Yeah.
Don't you, Bill? And I think it's so much fun to listen to music like that. And some of you may know that I perform in a Carole King James Taylor show, talk about kicking it old school or throwback, where we do a lot of the songs from the Tapestry record and all of James Taylor's hits. I do that show with Jonathan Birchfield, and Bill's in that show too. He plays rhythm guitar.
Electric. Not rhythm.
Oh, not rhythm.
Well, I do play some rhythms.
That's why I said rhythm.
But it's fun.
I wasn't wrong.
It's fun to listen to music that was from a long time ago with modern ears.
Yeah.
Because you hear it so differently than you did back then.
Yeah, it's true. Well, when you're a kid, you're not analyzing everything like I guess we do now. But anyway, I was interested in nostalgia and what makes nostalgia feel so good to us. And I actually found that nostalgia, which is, a warm emotion, is usually triggered, get this one, by cold days or a cold room. So I guess that's why in the wintertime, you want to watch a movie that is something you've seen before a million times. You want to listen to music that's really nostalgic. And one song that I wanted to tell everybody to check out, and it was recorded by Trisha Yearwood, is the song Remembers When. And it's such a great observation of what a song does when you listen to it, and it's a song that you heard long ago and how it makes you feel. So what I love too about nostalgia is that it kind of brings up memories that give you strength. And I never thought about it in this way. But, when you think about something from a long time ago and you think of a great memory, it gives you a lot of calming and peace and peace of mind, that things are going to be okay. And especially in a time like now, everything that we're experiencing with all this ridiculous civil unrest, and I just had to say that, and also the COVID, and the stores are gonna be open, the restaurants are gonna be open. No, they're gonna be closed down. You have to wear a mask. You don't have to wear a mask. It is so confusing. And so there's something about nostalgia, for me anyway, that makes me feel really good and makes me feel like everything's gonna be okay. And so I think it's a good way to reestablish a connection for things for yourself. And also another thing you can do is just reach out to an old friend. I heard from a long lost friend this past week. Haven't talked to this person in something like, 35 or 40 years. And it was so fun to catch up. And what also was really interesting for me is that this particular person knew my parents, and I knew his parents, and both of our parents now have passed away. And there's something very comforting, don't you think, when somebody knew your parents and they knew you when you were a child, when you were a kid. And so that's a really comforting thing too. And if we're connecting with people, don't you think, Bill, it's like, doesn't make the social distancing so hard,
Sure, I'd like to add something too. This sense of smell, the olfactory senses are the strongest of all the senses in triggering memories. Did you know that?
Yeah, and in triggering nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
So what's a smell that triggers your nostalgia?
Baking, chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. So is that a hint? I should bake some chocolate.
Always.
Another thing too is going through old photos. And it's always fun to go back and look at photos. In fact, one of my guests today had a project that she did over the COVID pandemic. Was she went and cataloged and scanned a bunch of old photos, and some of my old photos were in the pile of photos she found. And so we got to reminisce about some of those fun times. So I hope you're going to do that. I hope you're going to go listen to some great nostalgic music. I hope you're going to call an old friend. And I hope you're going to look at some old pictures of yourself. And it's also fun to post old pictures because a lot of people can relate to maybe that certain decade that the picture was taken in, or relate to something you're wearing or something you're doing in the picture. And it's a comfort for them too. So keep on with the Throwback Thursdays because I think they're really important to our psychological well-being. All right, don't go away. We're going to be right back for a very, very special, nostalgic Shero Spotlight.
Stay tuned for the Shero Spotlight.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Shero Spotlight. And today's interview is a very special one because I have not one, not two, not three, but 4 guests on the Shero Spotlight. And these people are very important to me. And I just want to say about them that they all know each other and have for some time. And we're all sisters from a different mother, although our mothers really knew each other. We're girls of summer, winter, fall. We spring into action when one of us needs the other one. We're long-standing friends. We still stand close in the test of time. We're all different, but we're all the same heart. There's comfort in saying you know someone since you just been a little kid. There's probably not a whole lot of people walking around that can say, wow, I've got, and we're missing one of our group here. She was out of town and couldn't be with us today. But there's not too many people that can say they've known each other since they were little kids. I mean, we knew each other's parents. It's very comforting, by the way, to know each other's parents. It's cool because you get a perspective on your parents from somebody else, a memory you never even knew about. It's really great. I love it. Well, anyway, I came up with a name for all of us, and I call us the Fabulous Six of PSHS. You're probably wondering, what in the heck is PSHS? Well, it's Poland Seminary High School, Poland, Ohio. And I hope all of you Poland graduates out there are listening to this because, I don't know, your name could come up. I mean, it's girls. We're getting together to talk, right? So anyway, I thought everybody could go around and introduce themselves. So let's start out with Nancy. And I thought Nancy could start. She could introduce herself and tell everybody what she does and where she's living now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Gillette. I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm an attorney, and I am in-house at the State Medical Association, which means I do a little bit of everything with respect to our corporate work. And as an organization, we spend most of our time advocating health policy on behalf of physicians in Ohio.
All right. If I lived in Ohio, I'd feel a lot safer with you at the helm, Nance. Of course, you always felt that way with Nancy, right, girls? Nancy she was like always the voice of reason. It was like, I don't think we should do that. But Judy, who's next, never used to say that. No, I'm kidding.
No, that's true. That's true. I was always game for risk, and that's not a good thing. But I'm Judy Bell. I live in Columbus, Ohio with my husband, and we've been here for about 17 years now. I love to bake, and that is one of my jobs. And I do custom cookies with my business, Judy Sweet Tooth.
And those cookies are insane.
Thanks, Kirsti.
If you're ever going to fall off the gluten-free wagon, that's where you want to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. I need to come up with a gluten-free cookie, cutout cookie.
There's no such thing.
There probably isn't.
There's no such thing. Next is Janice.
Hi, everybody. I'm Janice Marcusick, and I live in Annapolis, Maryland. I am an environmental scientist and an environmental programs administrator. I've been doing that job for about 20 years for our local government, Anne Arundel County government. And our focus is on ecological assessment of our streams and rivers and watersheds that flow to the Chesapeake Bay.
Wow. I love it. I don't know what else to say except that it sounds like a really important job. Do you feel like it is?
I do. I started out in this field wanting to be an aquatic ecologist, which is essentially what I am. And I went from studying lakes and reservoirs, which was and still is a passion of mine, to watershed assessments, to streams and rivers that flow to the Chesapeake Bay. So I've moved around from Ohio to Indiana and finally landed in Maryland. And I've been here for over 20 years.
Well, it's beautiful where you live. I mean, people should really be thinking about what they're dumping in the water too.
Good. Our whole goal is to try and improve the quality of our streams, our rivers, and the Chesapeake Bay to make it a little easier for those fish and crabs and such to live in there and to make it a little nicer to swim in.
Yeah. And Carol, last but not least, with your bowl of cherries.
Hi, everyone. My name's Carol Frank, and I'm a retired attorney here in Washington, D.C., but I still keep my law license in Ohio, and I'm very proud of my many years of public service, both at the state and the federal levels.
Wow. Nancy dragged out some old letters recently, and I guess that there was one little quip in there from a letter of our tidbit about somebody getting a job in Washington, and I thought, well, that had to be about Carol.
Well, I don't know. Could
No,
be any of us, because
I think
Nancy's not going to tell us
I
yet.
think somebody else, right? Yeah, it's just like her. She's mum's the word. Well, the theme of my podcast this week is about nostalgia, and we had started getting together on Zoom once in a while, and I should mention that one of our fabulous six is not here tonight, today, Sandy Sheerans, and we miss her. So Sandy, hello, we miss you. And we'll have to Zoom again sometime soon. But I thought it would be a lot of fun for us to get together and, do the View, but our way. The PSHS View.
Yeah.
Which is the only view you should have, is from PSHS. Because we grew up in a really great time, in a really great school. And I just wanted to ask you guys, how do you think we would have dealt with social media when we were growing up if we had social media when we were at PSHS? Anybody want to speak to that?
I'd probably still be saying that might not be a good idea.
Right.
Nancy would be saying that, and then she'd be saying, "You guys, shh." Yes, that was Nancy's big quote.
Yeah, when she read something that somebody else should know, she'd be going, "Shh." Don't share that. Don't repost.
Don't look over there.
Well, I feel bad for girls, especially today, who are defined by social media. I think it's ruining the youth personally.
Yeah.
I think it's really sad how some girls, a lot of girls, don't get to have really, really strong relationships like we did in high school. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I agree.
Well, we're all very thoughtful tonight.
Yeah, you can say anything. Trust me. I love the controversy. You know me.
Well, and it's interesting that people don't seem to think that they can just put it down or just not respond to something, and you can.
Yeah.
You can say no to things, and you can walk away from things, and
Right.
Right.
and that's
Right.
hard for me to understand why that's a problem, but right, I do think we were all pretty grounded and strong personalities as individuals, and I think we were kind to each other.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I've heard young women talk about, mean girls, and I just don't even remember
No.
Yeah.
mean girl things. Maybe I was in a bubble. It's possible, but
I think Carol was the sweetest one of our bunch. She was always sweet and
I
smiling.
agree.
I don't know, Sandy, Judy, Janice, Nancy, Kirsti. I don't know. I think it's a big competition there.
I don't know. I never thought of myself as sweet ever in life, but I appreciate the compliment. But I think that what's interesting too, but you were talking about strong girls and strong women, and I certainly am really committed to that with being a songwriter and trying to work with young girls as I have here in Nashville and beyond. Is I think that social media takes a strong girl and makes her really weak and unsure. And, I always try to tell young girls that I talk to about social media, you can use social media for good things. You could be a good role model, but at the same time, when you're looking at somebody else's life, that's just like a second of their life. It's a microcosm. You're looking at one picture and you don't know the before and the after, and you don't know what somebody went through, what they had to do to get where they are today. And that's what I think young girls miss on social media. They don't understand that.
And Kirsti, social media is a relatively new thing in the long arc of one's life, and what you put on doesn't go away. It's there. It follows you, and it's there. So it's something to think about, and I'm sure that's a message you give the girls and women with whom you work.
Yeah, it's true. Bill and I worked. My husband Bill Warner and I worked with a pop group, and we used to always tell them that. We were working with them just as social media really started to catch on, and we used to always say, we need to really think about what you're putting on social media, because that's going to be there forever. So Judy and I used to pass notes all the time in 8th grade math class. Not that was a good idea of things to do, but the thing that I thought was so cool about giving each other notes, and Nancy was talking about having these letters that we've written, and none of us remember ever writing a letter to Nancy, but anyway, she claims she has them, is that we were really in the moment, and because we didn't have any way to communicate like texting, so we would write a note in the moment and pass it. And some of those notes I've kept. They don't mean anything to me now, but in the moment, I know they were really, really important to our life.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever get caught passing a note?
I think
absolutely.
we did.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I
And
remember.
was it read out loud? What?
I don't remember that. I think Mr. Miller would still be reading it today. He was kind of slowed down. But I don't know. I went to Poland Union, and you guys, Judy, where'd you go? Poland Union?
Yeah, Poland Union. Yep.
And I remember one time in 4th grade in Mrs. Murphy's class, here's some nostalgia. I'm really going back. Somebody wrote a note and they got caught and they threw it on the floor. And so we started kicking it around so the teacher couldn't get it. And then the principal came in, and then of course we got locked up. I thought it was funny.
Soccer.
Somehow I never got called to the principal's office, but one time, I think I did one time. But anyway, so did any of you have a question you wanted to ask one of us?
Since we're in the pandemic time, how's everybody doing?
Somebody else can answer first. Go ahead.
Doing fine. I think I've Well, I'm a sort of an introvert naturally, so I've kind of adjusted pretty well to the pandemic introversion. But it's been a while, and I kind of miss people. I didn't think I would probably ever hear me say that, but I do.
Yeah.
I miss people. I actually miss the camaraderie of friends and face-to-face communication, and mostly I just miss hugging people. We're humans. We need touch. We need to touch each other. We need to see each other. We need to talk face to face, and Zoom is great. And I love the fact that we can do that. It's the next best thing to being there at this point. But yeah, I miss being face to face.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I've liked about the whole shutdown part of it, just the thing of having to be introspective and, reflective. I always think that's important in life, and I don't think people slow down enough to do that. But it's just the people that have reached out to me, some people that I haven't talked to in years. And I think that's really interesting how it's made people try to connect. And, like Janice, I mean, we work at home a lot, so that part of it hasn't been different for us really. But I miss the freedom of going out because my germophobia will not let me go do anything, no matter how much they say it's cool. To go out and say and hear music, or, like Janice says, go hang out with people. I think that's been tough for me.
And I think that is tough, but I have to say I do enjoy the shorter commute from the kitchen with my cup of coffee upstairs to the office. I mean, that I do enjoy is the short commute.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too. Who else has a question? A burning question for the PSHS.
I wanted to answer Carol's. The thing that I miss the most are road trips. I was gone pre-pandemic. I was gone 2 weekends out of the month, either driving up to Chicago or up to Michigan or Cleveland or Youngstown, just seeing my family. And I have not done that since February. And I am about to it's been crazy. I miss that. I just miss seeing family. I haven't seen anybody for so long.
Well, my mom, as you guys know, my mom passed away in April, and that was so strange not be able to go there when she got ill and not be able to go there to see my sister or have any kind of a memorial service, anything like that.
Right.
And then we were going to go and help clean out her house. Well, then we couldn't do that. And so it's so odd for my sister to be walking around her house, on FaceTime, showing me things. And it's really strange. I think my sister's going to have a harder time letting go of that house than me, because I came and went for many years. And I said, just take a lot of pictures for me, take pictures of odd sides of the house, take a picture of the sidewalk, that kind of thing. I want to have pictures of those kinds of things. So
I kind of felt that way too when we sold Mom and Dad's house. I kind of thought I wasn't really going to miss it that much, but I found that I did. I really did.
Oh, I think I'll miss it. I think I'll miss it too, but
the best part is that you keep those memories in your brain, and when you visualize the house that you grew up in, that's what you see, regardless of what happens to it physically now.
Yeah, I think that's really true. Well, and I feel like, any of us that, some of us lived in our childhood homes our whole life. I mean, we never moved, and Judy was like that. Janice was like that. Nancy, Carol, I think you moved once. Maybe
we moved around a lot. And so, I think Poland was, before I moved to DC here, Poland was a place where my family had stayed the longest.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was, high school was the important years that I was lucky to be with you guys there.
Yeah.
But, so I'm grateful for that.
It's just amazing that we're all still connected.
So why do you think that is?
I think it's because we had a lot of the same philosophy of life. And I think it was our parents. I think our parents had a lot of the same philosophy of life. And they came from the kind of generation where people just stuck. They stuck with you. And so we got trained to have that stick it with people kind of philosophy. Sure. And then when you make memories with people from a very young age, I think that is something that is important. And in those formative years, you know, when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, and you're talking about boys, and you're talking about school, and you're talking about studying for a test and being in choir and going to some kind of a choir, what did they call those things? State contests, that kind of stuff. I mean, we did a lot of stuff together that was very defining and validating to us as girls.
Yes. Absolutely. I agree.
You know? And I think that we learned a lot from each other. One of my questions for you guys was going to be, what was one of the things that you really learned from each other that stuck with you?
I think from all of you, I learned inclusion. I know Sandy and I moved in to the area, and you guys were, you know, had been there for a long time, but you were very welcoming and very kind, and included us in activities and sort of in this group of friends. So I appreciate that. And I know that's something that I know both Sandy and I were lucky to experience.
Yeah. And you left us with many piccolo solos in the back seats of cars. Somebody was driving and you're back there playing away. I mean,
well,
you know,
it was 1976, if you don't mind me mentioning the year.
No,
it's the bicentennial year.
Well, you know, now people were trying to text and drive, and you were playing the piccolo, and somebody else was driving. So that was safe.
Totally
that
not
was
driving.
Safe playing.
Yeah, totally not driving. Yeah.
You know, Kirsti, I think probably the two things that made us stick together so well, not just that affinity that we had with one another, but we laughed together, and we sang together.
Yeah.
Those two things are so important to me personally. Music, and I know, of course, for you, Kirsti, but music and laughing. And I think that we still do that. I mean, Nancy, when I got diagnosed with COVID, you went on a little, I don't know what you call it. It was just wonderful. But you contacted the rest of the group, and you sent pictures through our text feed of us from back in high school. And I will tell you, quarantined in that upstairs corner bedroom, I was laughing so hard. Bruce came to the door like, what in the world is going on? You will not believe the pictures and the fun. I laughed so hard that night, and it was a sobering night, but you lightened it up. All of you guys did, and it was just wonderful. So we've laughed together for 40 plus years, and that's been very, very, very important to me.
Well, and it's so cool too, because when, you know, like I think the last time we were all together when Nancy, and she surprised me with inviting everybody, came when she had me come and play at her house, perform at her house last summer. And that was so great. And I think I love it when you have friends that it's like the minute you see them again, you just take up. It's like nothing has ever changed except our age. And, you know, of course, my height, because I am shrinking. I am shrinking as I get older. No, I'm kidding. But I think that that's really special. And I really agree with what you said, the thing about laughing and singing together. Because again, you know, if any young people are listening, or any parents that are struggling with, you know, how to deal with their daughters, you know, seeming isolated, I think if you can get your daughter to find one or two friends that can be a real friend and can really be honest and really be kind to your daughter, I think that is a really helpful thing, because we were all really nice to each other. We really were, and we were genuine. We weren't talking about each other behind each other's backs. Nobody did that in our bunch. It was really cool.
Yeah. I honestly don't remember any of us ever really arguing with each other.
No, I don't think we did. It's really unique. Anybody else have a question?
I was just going to add just real quickly to that whole concept of what we were just talking about. It gave us permission to, you know, to be silly and to not worry about what other people were thinking.
Yeah.
That's part of that gaining confidence.
And I like the fact that we can still be silly when we each other.
Exactly right.
That's right. Give that up.
I don't think that part has stopped.
I don't think it ever will.
I hope not. Well, I wanted to ask you guys, what would you say to, I want each of you to answer this. What would you say to a young girl or a young woman who's struggling to find real friends about the importance of true friendship today, as opposed to a relationships driven by social media? What would you say to somebody? It could be one word even.
I think I would, suggest that a young person take a look at where they're seeking the friendships. Is it in is it in kind of a shallow place where people are being shallow, or I would seek out and do your best to try to seek out venues that that are of interest to you. Maybe it is like for us, we were all involved in music in one way or the other and together. But I mean, that might not appeal to everybody, but is there a venue where you can be with like-minded people and then seek out the people that are genuine? I bet that it's difficult. I hesitate saying that because I'm pretty far removed, from some of that's going on. But I guess I would try to seek out, if venue's the right word, or settings that would be conducive to people being genuine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Nancy's onto something, and I think the recommendation from me would also say, don't be afraid to be friends with people that aren't the most popular kids in the school, the most popular people out there, because sometimes, being popular doesn't mean that you're going to be the best friend or that you have the same things in common, but look for commonalities and don't be afraid to explore that with another person.
Yeah, that's good advice. Carol, what do you think?
Just be honest. Don't try and be a fake friend. Just be honest.
Judy.
I think you'll gain friends when you're kind. And that was, Nancy mentioned that early on, and that was, you asked for a power word, and that is my power word, is kindness. When you are kind, people will just naturally be attracted to you and will, just want to be around you. So,
yeah.
And honest. Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with other people.
Yeah. I don't know how do we impart that to young girls? I mean, we all remember how some kids that we knew in school, they were really worried about being accepted, and I think it's so important for young people, young girls, to feel accepted, and you just wish you could give them a view of themselves in 5 years when they could see that it wouldn't really it doesn't really matter, and the things that matter at that moment to them will never be important. That they won't even remember the name of somebody that they thought they had to impress,
Sure.
So speaking of power words, Judy has revealed hers. What's your power word, Carol?
Well, I had to think about this because I don't necessarily keep one in my back pocket.
Yeah.
But mine, I think, comes from something at Poland Seminary High School, and it's from a cheer. And so my power word is success. It's SUCCESS. That's the way you spell success. And I tend to think it's just one letter at a time. So as you work towards a goal or work towards success, it's not automatic. It's one letter at a time.
That's cool, Carol. I love that.
That's my power word, thanks to our high school and experiences there.
I love that.
It's great.
Janice, is yours honest or is yours something else?
Actually, my power word is really, and for me, this has been something I've lived with all my life before I even realized this was my power word: adaptability.
Why that?
Life changes. Life throws curveballs at you. You adapt or you don't do so well. So if you're well-grounded in the things that are important to you, and we are all well-grounded like that, the curveballs come your way and you might, bend a little bit and like buckle a little bit, but you're going to stand back up if you're adaptable to the situation and move forward and achieve success the same way Carol goes about achieving success, one letter at a time.
I love that.
Nancy.
Well, this might be cheating a little bit, but mine is a Finnish language word. It's called, and it was an obvious word to me because Finns talk about this concept that sometimes they say it's hard to translate, but the basic gist of it is that you have a stubborn determination. So basically somebody can't tell you that you can't do something.
I love that. What's the word though? Because I didn't hear you say the actual word.
Sisu, S-I-S-U.
Sisu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like that. Well, mine's believe, because heaven knows to be in the music business, you have to have a lot of belief. But I just think to believe in yourself and to believe in others is a really important thing to do. I believe in validating others and validating yourself and learning how to validate yourself. And at the end of the day, being able to believe in yourself and be happy with who you are. And that's always been important to me. So I love it. So I always ask to my guests, I can never say guests, that word, to finish this sentence.
Uh-oh.
And the sentence is, the number one thing I'm grateful for today is...
all of you.
Oh, that's nice.
Come on. I am so grateful for the fact that I have this fabulous cadre of friends that have been my friends since before I was a teenager. And in some cases, since before I could walk. Nancy, him.
No, not the story of the stroller again, I hope.
I cannot imagine having gone through life or all the stages of life and not having you guys there popping in and out on occasion. We haven't been there walking hand in hand together the whole time, but when one of us needs something, you guys are always there, and that is fabulous. And I don't know what kind of magic pixie dust somebody sprinkled on all of us, but I'm sure happy I was there to get part of it. So I'm grateful for all of you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Carol.
Well, today I'm most grateful for today. That's because you can't take the next day for granted, and you have to make the most of each day. And I'm happy that today, like Janice, we got to get together on Zoom, and I've had a good day. Otherwise, my husband's here working in the house. My dog's here. I can walk around the neighborhood on a beautiful sunny day. And so today I'm grateful for today.
Nice. Nancy.
Today I'm going to say flexibility, although I agree with Janice and Carol, but I sometimes in what I do, well, almost every day in what I do, I have to kind of jump from one thing to the other. And I know that can derail some people, but I am thankful that I can be flexible in doing lots of different things.
Okay. Judy.
Well, first off, Janice, in response to your answer, my husband said, you guys are just, this is amazing that you have stayed such good friends for so long. This is so it's just, he just doesn't see that very often. But what I am thankful for, and honestly, I thank God for this every single day, several times a day, is my husband. I am just so grateful for him. I love coming home to him. I love waking up to him. And I don't know, I used to tell people that I won the husband lottery, but lottery is by chance. And I don't think, I don't think there was any chance involved in this. I think God really, really gave me a huge gift in Bruce, and I'm just grateful for him.
Yeah. I have to say, that is the word for me too. And, you know, what I think is so beautiful about Bill Warner is that we are such great friends and we really like each other. And I've always said it's all about the like, you know.
Exactly.
And that's what I think is so beautiful about all of us, is that it's all about the like. I mean, we genuinely, truly like each other, you know. We love each other too, but like is a hard thing to come by in the world. You know, there's a lot of people that we meet, I guess, and sometimes it's hard to like people. It's hard to like what people do, but I really, really like all of you. and like that we have stayed together so long. It's really a refreshing. It's wonderful, and I just feel like we need to go out in the world and pass on what we've learned about being such true friends.
Yeah, it's great. It's
You
been
know?
great.
We need to write a book. They need to make a movie about us.
You'll do the soundtrack,
I'll do the
Kirsti.
soundtrack.
Oh, for sure. There you go.
Nancy will direct the scenes.
Yes.
She will be Nancy will be continuity because she keeps all the pieces of paper. She keeps everything straight. I don't know what Janice is going to do.
I will post on social media for us.
Carol will come out of retirement and she'll be the attorney for the tracks. Judy will pray
And cater.
when a fight breaks out on the set. No, I'm kidding. And she'll make cookies.
And she'll make
Okay.
cookies.
Yeah.
I'll feed you.
We really need to hold up Judy's sweet tooth business, her cookie
you're
company,
sweet.
because
Thanks.
it is amazing, the artistry of your cookies.
Oh,
Can
thanks.
we go anywhere and see them online? Can listeners go and check it out?
They can go to my Facebook page. That's the best place.
Yeah.
Judy Sweet Tooth. Yep.
I remember you made some cookies for me once, and I took them up to Poland, and everybody was going, "We can't eat these."
Oh. Yes, we eat them.
So several of them are still framed in my kitchen.
Oh. Oh, hilarious. Oh, my
Well,
goodness.
girls, it's been great to have you on the show, and I hope you've enjoyed your time here on
Yes.
the
Yes, thank
Shero
you.
Spotlight. You're all Sheros to me, and I know that we're going to see each other together in person again soon. Hopefully, we'll be able to hug each other and
Great.
hang out, other than just on Zoom.
Yeah.
And you've been the perfect host.
Oh,
Kirsti.
thank you.
Yes.
Well, I
Thank
didn't
you.
serve any food or drinks. I apologize, but
Next time.
next time we'll have snacks. I love you guys.
Love
Thanks
you
for
too.
Love you too.
Thanks for being here. Nancy Gillette,
Oh.
Judy Bell, Janice Marcusick, Carol Frank, and Cindy Sheerans. And we want to thank everybody for being here at the Shero Spotlight. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're my Shero, more than a hero, and I look up to you every single day. Every day, my celebration, my inspiration is to be like you, but in my own way. You're my Shero, more than a hero.
Well, I always like to thank Roxanne Charette for co-writing You're My Shero with me and for singing with me on that track. It was a lot of fun when we got to do that together a few years back. Well, today on this episode number 15, I decided I would try a new segment, and this segment is called Nash. And this segment's going to be all about things that I find interesting or things that I've just discovered about Nashville. Nashville's always changing, and Bill and I have lived here in Nashville for what, Bill, like 25, 30 years? It's been forever,
Yeah, long
right?
time.
Long time. And so we've seen a lot of changes come to Nashville. And I was kind of interested to see how many people had visited Nashville in 2019. Can you guess, Bill, how many people?
I have no idea.
Just try to guess. Try to guess.
How many
A
vis-
lot is not an answer.
100,000.
Oh, you're going to believe this number. 16.1 million people visited Nashville in 2019. I couldn't believe I was reading that number. That is insane. So I don't know if any of you listening or watching were some of those people, those wonderful people that came here and graced our city. I hope you got to come. And if you haven't visited Nashville yet, I'm going to give you a few ideas of what we can do while you're waiting for all this mask business and COVID stuff to settle down. But Nashville is a great place to visit. And so I thought, okay, how are people going to visit Nashville if they really physically don't feel comfortable traveling yet? Well, this is cool. The Nashville Convention Bureau has on their website virtual attractions. And I thought that was pretty neat. We're all into this virtual stuff now. And so I picked a place that I thought you guys would find interesting to check out. And it's the Opryland Hotel. And the reason I picked the Opryland Hotel, which a lot of people know about it and a lot of people have been there, is because we're very nostalgic about it, aren't we, Bill? Because we performed there.
Yes, that was a different life.
We performed there.
Lifetime.
I think we performed there for 4 years.
Three
or 4 years. It seemed like 10. No, it was a lot of fun. And this was so cute. There used to be this little statue. We performed at the Jack Daniel's Saloon was one place we performed, and it's no longer in the hotel. But we would walk out on our breaks, and there was this cute little statue that was right there in the foliage. And I loved it. I admired it so much that Bill ended up buying me one, and now I have it in my backyard. So I, have a little bit of memories of the Opryland Hotel in the backyard. But anyway, the Opryland Hotel is such a fantastic place. It's really an amazing resort, and it's exciting that's in Nashville. So if you've never had the chance to go to the Opryland Hotel physically, it is really something to see. And you can go on the Opryland Hotel's virtual attraction site there on YouTube, and you can just click the link on the Nashville Convention Bureau's site, and you can find that right away. But it is really cool. And now they've got this whole new cool thing called Sound Waves, where it's an indoor water park. And I haven't even been to see that yet, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a good place to go and breathe.
Yeah.
The air with all the plants. The atriums.
The plants are so beautiful in that conservatory. And of course, people get married there, and people, you could get lost in that hotel for hours. It's really something to see. So I hope, I'm not being paid to advertise this, but I love advertising the Opryland Hotel because I think it's such an amazing place. So I hope if you get to come to Nashville when life settles down, that you will go there and spend some time checking it out. A lot of fun stuff to do and see there.
Meow, not bow wow. Meow, not bow wow. Meow, not bow wow. Meow, not bow wow.
Well, since we're talking about being nostalgic today, I thought in Meow Not Bow Wow it would be fun to talk about what cats can remember. Bill, do you think cats can remember very much?
Definitely when to eat.
That's true. Cats always remember when to eat. It's like clockwork. If you want to keep your cat healthy and strong, keep them on an eating schedule. It really helps. But it does end up that cats have really good retention. That cats can recall things for something totaling up to 10 years. I thought that was really insane. Cats can recall animal friends they have. They can recall people. They can recall people that irritate them. They remember all of these things.
I'm just curious, we know this because of what?
All these studies that have been done about cats and their memory. It says that cats' long-term memory may last as long as 200 times as long as a dog's. Sorry, dog people. I knew I'd get a laugh out of that one, Bill. I mean, I think this is really true.
Don't diss the dogs.
I think this is really true in regards to cats. I mean, if you think about cats remembering the kind of food they don't like to eat, I think that's really funny. Or that they remember that the can opening means food. Come on. You got to give them that. Of course, it's kind of like a guy drinking a beer. They hear the beer open and they, figure it's...
No, the wife hears the sound and she remembers, oh, there's another beer.
I like that. That's a good one. That happens here sometimes. Okay. So we've all read these stories about these cats that get separated from their people and they find their way back. And so I thought I would do a little research on cats that were separated from owners and if they were able to find them. And there's this really interesting story. This is a true story about a cat who was leaving Greece with his family. And these people were somehow refugees from Iran, I think it was. And so the cat was with them, and the cat got separated from the people in Greece. And these Greek fishermen found this cat. This cat's name is, I think it's pronounced Kunkush. And they found this cat, and somehow they tracked down how this cat, where it got lost, who the people were that lost it. And they were on a Skype meeting with these people, Bill, and the cat recognized their voices and was looking around the laptop and behind the laptop trying to see their people. So somebody wrote a wonderful book about the cat called Kunkush, The True Story of a Refugee Cat. And you can, of course, buy this book on Amazon. I've got to buy it because I'm so curious as to the story of Kunkush. And it was written by Marnie Ventura. So I think that is really, really interesting that this cat found its people. I mean, through all those channels. I mean, what are the odds of that? That's amazing. And I remember one of our cats, Sweetie, long, dearly departed Sweetie. And Sweetie, Bill always said, he went on a walkabout. He was gone for about 4 weeks. This is when we used to let our cats outside. We don't believe in that anymore. We don't let our cats go outside and roam like free roaming vapors. But Sweetie was gone for about 4 weeks, and he came back one day just like nothing ever happened.
And he stayed.
Yeah, and we still don't know where he went.
He wouldn't
If
say.
only they could talk.
He couldn't remember.
That's next week. Next week, I'm going to be looking up to see if cats can actually talk, because I think they can. Well, it's time for me to say goodbye. And I really appreciate you being here with me today on KIRSTIcast, episode number 15. Don't forget, you can find us wherever you hear podcasts, wherever you like to listen to them. You can watch this podcast on YouTube, Songwriter Girl 1 channel. I want to thank my sponsors, Warner Works and Music Pays the Rent. I'm going to be back next week with another fabulous guest in the Shero Spotlight. I want to thank my guests for being on today, my fabulous friends from high school. Yay! So fun to hang out with you girls. Don't forget, if you want to communicate with me, info@songwritergirl.com, and you can find me on Spotify. With my music, you can find me on all the social media sites. Hope I'm going to see you there. And whatever you do, stay inspired. See you next time.
You've been listening to KIRSTIcast.